It's the last week, the last 5 episodes of The Summer of Steven. Oddly enough, rather than the event concluding with the final episode of Season 3, it ends with the second episode of Season 4. Why schedule it this way? I don't know. As recent scheduling of shows continues to demonstrate, the scheduling department of Cartoon Network is just drunk. All day, every day. Okay, with that mini rant out of the way, let's get on to the mini reviews. Earthlings starts with Jasper berating her beast army, though her whole army plan seemed kinda silly to me due to how impractical it is. She can use fear to control 1 or 2 corrupted gems at best. I don't see her taming the whole lot and having them at her beck and call even with time. More so for the mutants. No way those would even comprehend what's happening, much less obey orders. Jasper's dialogue strongly implies she is not aware that Homeworld deliberately tried to corrupt all the gems left behind on Earth.
What happened to you?
That's really interesting. She's a veteran fighter and also highly venerated, as we see in the next 2 episodes, and yet the authority on Homeworld seems to have kept certain events secret even from her. I'm very curious just how many Homeworld gems know the full truth.
I'll never let this planet twist me like it twisted you.
Yeah, about that. Sorry, Jasper, you foreshadowed yourself into a bad situation with that line. Jasper is defeated by a brand new fusion, Steven's first fusion with another gem, this fusion being none other than...
Smoky Quartz.
The path for this event was well established, mostly due to the intense session of bonding they had in the episode Steven vs. Amethyst. It's also sorta neat thematically. Steven's first fusion is with Connie, a human, and his next fusion is with a gem who's only ever known Earth, just like him. That's the reason the episode is called Earthlings, after all. Smoky Quartz is a jokester with yo-yos, and I really like her 3-armed design. Smoky Quartz was possible because Steven and Amethyst found their self-worth through their camaraderie, and I loved how Jasper agonizingly struggled to have that same feeling.
We can beat them if we stay together!
It was painful to see Jasper try to invoke the power of friendship that one would expect from a main character in a series and get rejected. This is by far my favorite scene in the entire episode. The close-up on Jasper's eye after the corruption sets in was brilliant. The way the shot was framed makes me think of Jasper as a wounded animal, lashing out at even those trying to help her. And Jasper shouting about her beloved pink diamond gives me chills every time I watch this episode. The delivery of her dialogue was incredible and overflowing with raw emotion. Smoky Quartz was definitely cool, but Jasper is the one who stole the show for me. My only gripe is that I think the episode should have ended with this scene on this somber note. The lighthearted cliffhanger interfered with letting all the emotions the episode generated sit. It made the experience feel less heavy. Otherwise, this was a grand farewell to Jasper's probably first character arc. It seems quite likely that this won't be the last we see of her. The rubies are back, so a lot of dumbness ensues.
I'll just go stand over here then.
A whole lot of it. I have less patience for it the second time around. The appeal of these sorts of interactions is lost on me. It's just not my thing, and I don't get much enjoyment out of it. This screenshot is spot on for my own reaction to much of the episode. But I have to admit, there were a few special moments where I did laugh, like this one. The lore about the Earth being Pink Diamond's colony was sweet though, and I gobbled that up. As was the knowledge that some low-class newer gems don't even know the history of Homeworld and what the Diamond Authority used to be in the past. And of course, Rose Quartz shattered Pink Diamond? Neat. What I liked most though is that this lore drop simultaneously served to flesh out Eyeball as a character. It cemented this particular Ruby as a real character with a history and a dynamic personality shaped by that history. At the end, when Amethyst's ploy fails, as we all expected it to, Steven decides that blasting the rubies into the vast emptiness of space is a good idea. I don't know why. Seems really inhumane and cruel. Since this is a child-friendly cartoon, there's the assumption that they'll be retrieved eventually, and in later episodes it's outright mentioned.
We can pick them up on the way back.
But still, feels like a move that was done solely for the purpose of having the interactions in the next episode occur, so let's just move on to that episode. Due to Steven sentencing the rubies to cruel and unusual punishment, Steven and Eyeball end up in a bubble floating aimlessly through space. Strangely enough, Steven's apology, even after realizing what he's done, is insincere and falls flat.
I'm sorry. There. Are you happy?
It may seem like I'm drilling on this point for too long, but when Rose-Shattering Pink Diamond is treated with such gravitas, when Steven thinks it's so horrible that he doesn't even believe it at first, it comes off as odd that Steven thinks it's not that big of a deal for people to float forever through the emptiness of space until they perish, a fate I would personally consider worse than immediate death. It created a disconnect. Other than that criticism, I really liked this episode though, and it was powerful to end the season exploring the topic of killing to save others. I just wish it wasn't muddled with something I'd consider in the same ballpark as killing being taken so lightly. The magnificence of space was captured superbly in the background design for this episode. SU's backgrounds are excellent in general, but this episode deserves additional praise for that aspect because it just went above and beyond. They were beautiful. And the myriad of interactions between Eyeball and Steven were also fantastic. The core of the episode was the dynamic between the two, and the interactions remained interesting and had me glued to the screen the entire time. Season 4 starts with an entire episode being an homage to Wile E, Coyote and the Roadrunner. Jeez, who could have possibly foreseen that? In addition to just being lots of wacky fun, the episode is about Peridot learning firsthand what being a crystal gem often means, engaging in missions to track down and take care of corrupted gems, which at times can be harder than it looks. There's also a poignant lesson about empathy thrown in there. There's not much else for me to really say about this episode. I liked it and had a good time with it, and the marshmallow scene was by far my favorite of all the events that occurred. I feel like I can watch Steven throwing marshmallows on loop for forever. There's just something hilariously hypnotic about it. Just look at the boy go. Throw them marshmallows. Throw them good. Life lessons taught through marshmallow throwing are the best life lessons. Yeah, keep on throwing them, Steven. Woo! Alright, that's enough. Let's get to the last mini-review. The best part of Know Your Fusion is the very beginning, where Garnet and Pearl meet Smoky Quartz for the first time. What an amazing scene! I think it's impossible to watch Garnet and Pearl freak out without having a massive grin on your face, and their excitement is downright contagious. The rest of the episode, though, I did not like it at all. It's one of those cases where the Crewniverse forced the writing to match their vision, even though it doesn't make sense. In this case, the plot point to be hit was Sardonyx unintentionally re-triggering all the insecurities Amethyst and Steven had overcome. This was done by Sardonyx being entirely unimpressed with a yo-yo weapon.
Every fusion gets something new. A new power? A new weapon?
Like a yo-yo?
Yes, but better.
I don't know why she's completely unimpressed to the point of belittling it, but apparently she just was. Then, to make things even more nonsensical, Sardonyx expected Smoky Quartz to have at least one of the abilities the other fusions have. Shoot arrows accurately, have ridiculous strength, breathe fire? What? Why? Like, I don't even... It's just dumb. Either Sardonyx is very stupid, or this was bad writing. Take your pick. I'm going with the latter. The core contention of the episode was formed in a ludicrous manner. That ruined the episode for me. And I have a teeny tiny small gripe, but I just have to get it out there. If a fusion's room can kill everyone when a fusion breaks apart, I feel like nobody should ever go into a fusion room in the first place. It's just not worth taking that risk. To top it all off, I simply didn't care for the late-night show format whatsoever, but that's just my personal interest, or rather lack thereof. So, unfortunately, the last episode in the Summer of Steven event is probably my least favorite. I only say probably because of the opening scene. That opening scene was just so good. Well, that's all 4 weeks. Why must Cartoon Network do these enormous batch releases? Why can't it just be kept a single new episode once per week for many weeks in a row? Is that so hard? Anyway, I'm not sure when I'll go back to doing single episode reviews of Steven Universe. I'm leaning toward doing SU videos on specific topics or concepts in the near future, interspersed with more Adventure Time stuff. Catch y'all later.